கம்பு கையில் கொஞ்சம் நல்லா வயலாக இருக்குண்ணே. அண்ணா இப்போ கொஞ்சம் தம்பி நல்லா நம்ம தான் இருக்கிறோம். அண்ணா அண்ணா கொஞ்சம்
2023 with the futuristic Food Expo 2023, an international millet conference. With this backdrop, I request the delegates on the dais and off the dais to upstand for national anthem, followed by Tamil Thai Vaathu.
Jaya He, Jaya He, Jaya 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 He. நீராரும் கடலோடு கனிலமடந்து கெளிலொழுகும் சீராரும் பதனமென திகழ் பரத கண்டமிது தெக்கனமும் மதிசிறந்த திராவிடர்கள் திருநாளும் தக்க சிறு திரையுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற வாழ்வதுமே வாழ்வதுமே.
Thank you, delegates. To welcome the gathering.
Most respected Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu and the Chancellor for Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, அன்பார்ந்த உழவர் உற்பத்தியாளர் நிறுவனங்களின் உறுப்பினர்களே, முன்னோடி விவசாய பெருமக்களே, Mother India is marching towards #1 economy in the world. To build self-reliant India, our visionary leaders have new policies and our Honorable Governor, a visionary leader, a role model to the younger generation, a leader of action, loves to motivate people, young students, farmers and the common public through his simplicity and hard work. இந்த முக்கியமான நிகழ்ச்சியில் மரியாதைக்குரிய மாண்புமிகு ஆளுநர் அவர்களின் பங்கேற்பால் இங்கு வருகை புரிந்திருக்கும் அனைவரும் பெருமை கொள்கிறோம். On behalf of everyone here and on behalf of Tamil Nadu Agricultural University, I wholeheartedly extend my warm welcome to His Excellency, Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu and Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Agricultural University to this International Millet Conference 2023. Hearty welcome, sir. கடந்த காலத்தில் சிறுதானியங்களாக கருதப்பட்ட உணவானது இன்று ஊட்டச்சத்து மிகுந்த நியூட்ரி சீரியல்ஸ் என்று கருதப்படுகிறது. நமது ஆரோக்கியத்தை பாதுகாப்பதில் இவை முக்கிய அங்கம் வகிக்கின்றன. சிறுதானிய பயிர்கள் மாறிவரும் கால சூழ்நிலைக்கு ஏற்ப உள்ளதால் இது கிளைமேட் ஸ்மார்ட் அக்ரிகல்ச்சரில் ஒரு முக்கிய அங்கமாக உள்ளது. It requires very less water compared to other crops. It can come up even in marginal soils with very less inputs. இந்திய அரசாங்கம் எடுத்த தொடர் முயற்சியால் ஐக்கிய நாடுகள் சபை 2023ஆம் ஆண்டினை சர்வதேச சிறுதானிய ஆண்டாக அறிவித்துள்ளது. International Year of Millets 2023. Ancient Sangam literature shows that India, particularly Tamil Nadu, pioneered in millet cultivation since Bronze Age. Considering the importance of millet research, Department of Millets was created exactly 100 years before during 1923 in TNAU. It is a rare coincidence that UN has announced the year 2023 as International Year of Millet. To celebrate both the events, TNAU feels proud in organizing this international conference involving all the stakeholders of millet cultivation, value addition, marketing and consumption. In the past 100 years, TNAU has contributed in release of high-yielding varieties and new technologies for the benefit of farming community. சோளத்தில் மட்டும் 33 ரகங்கள் மற்றும் 5 ஹைபிரிடை வெளியிட்டுள்ளது தமிழ்நாடு வேளாண்மை பல்கலைக்கழகம். செஞ்சோளம், மஞ்சள் சோளம், தலைவிரிச்சான் சோளம் போன்ற ரகங்கள் இன்றும் விவசாயிகளால் விரும்பி பயிரிடப்பட்டு வருகின்றன. அதேபோல் கம்பு, ராகி போன்ற பயிர்களில் இதர சிறுதானிய பயிர்களான திணை, குதிரைவாலி, சாமை, வரகு மற்றும் பனிரகரகு போன்ற பயிர்களிலும் 50க்கும் மேற்பட்ட ரகங்களை தமிழ்நாடு வேளாண்மை பல்கலைக்கழகம் வெளியிட்டுள்ளது. தமிழ்நாட்டில் வட மாவட்டங்களான தருமபுரி, சேலம், கள்ளக்குறிச்சி மற்றும் திருவண்ணாமலையில் சிறுதானியங்கள் பெருவாரியாக பயிரிடப்பட்டு வருகின்றன. இதை கருத்தில் கொண்டு திருவண்ணாமலை மாவட்டத்தில் அத்தியேந்தலில் 2013ஆம் ஆண்டு சிறுதானிய மகத்துவ மையம் அமைக்கப்பட்டது. That is Center of Excellence for Millet. It was created in Athiyendal in Tiruvannamala district. தமிழ்நாடு வேளாண்மை பல்கலைக்கழகத்தின் சிறுதானிய ஆராய்ச்சி கண்டுபிடிப்புகளை பகிரவும் உள்நாட்டு மற்றும் வெளிநாட்டு அறிஞர்களிடம் இருந்து புதிய தொழில்நுட்பங்களை கற்றுக்கொள்ளவும் இந்த சர்வதேச சிறுதானிய கருத்தரங்கம் மற்றும் கண்காட்சி ஏற்பாடு செய்யப்பட்டுள்ளது. More than 500 delegates, 1000 farmers, 100 entrepreneurs and students are participating in this event. 25 invited lectures were arranged for sharing the expertise from renowned millet experts of millet value chain. With the able leadership and constant support and guidance of our Hon'ble Governor of Tamil Nadu, TNAU is leading among the state agricultural universities in India. With the support of Indian Council of Agricultural Research, New Delhi, 40 scientists and 80 students have been deputed to leading foreign universities for acquiring new entrepreneurial and employable skills. Research programs have been reoriented towards finding solutions to field problems and industry requirement. TNAU's agribusiness development has obtained rupees 10 crore funding from Government of India through Nidhi Prayash program. We are marching towards developing 100 agro-based entrepreneurs who can create minimum 1000 employment opportunities within 5 years of time period. A new initiative in TNAU has launched online agri input sale portal, namely TNAU AgriCart. Just like Amazon and Flipkart, upon online ordering, input will reach farmers' doorstep immediately. I take this opportunity to welcome and profusely thank our Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu and also Chancellor of Tamil Nadu Agricultural University for having accepted our invitation and participated in the interactive meeting of FPO members and scientists and students. Once again, I welcome all the FPOs, farming community for having participated in the historical meeting. My heartfelt thanks to one and all. அனைவருக்கும் எனது பணிவான வணக்கங்களை தெரிவித்துக் கொள்கிறேன். நன்றி, வணக்கம்.
Thank you, ma'am. As the next event of this meeting, we are proud to announce the MOU signing ceremony between the TNAU units and FPO in the presence of Hon'ble Governor of Tamil Nadu.
1000 FPOs during 5 years of time period. TNAU has 112 constituent units across Tamil Nadu. Efforts to adopt 120 farmer producer organizations. Through this movement, TNAU will provide better business plan for the FPOs, create market linkages, facilitate FPOs in obtaining GI tax, teaching good agricultural practices and advisory on export to foreign countries. Today, in the presence of our Honorable Governor, we will be signing MOU with 10 leading farmer producer organizations. We have already done with more than 60 farmer producer organizations, sir.
In Department of Crop Physiology, DCM Coimbatore, with Vasista Farmer Producer Company Limited, ACRN Madurai is an Anjay Farmer Producer Company.
Sir, camera on sir, கொஞ்சம் பேக் வாங்க சார். உங்க கேமரா சார் ரெடிங் சார்.
Directorate of Open and Distance Learning, Coimbatore. Department of Seed Technology, Coimbatore. CSC and RI Madurai, மாவட்ட தென்னை மற்றும் இதர பயிர்கள் ப்ரொடியூசர் கம்பெனி லிமிடெட், மதுரை.
And 15th of Tamil Nadu. He has had an association with the Intelligence Bureau. Especially privileged and wholeheartedly honored will address the gathering.
மதிப்பிற்குரிய துணைவேந்தர் டாக்டர் வி கீதா லட்சுமி அவர்களே, டாக்டர் ஆர் ரவி கேசவன் அவர்களே, டாக்டர் எம் ரவீந்திரன் அவர்களே, இனிய விவசாயிகளே, மாணவ செல்வங்களே, அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம். இந்த விழாவில் பங்கேற்கிறேன். to be at this important event on a subject which is so crucial, so important, not only our country but for the humanity. A conference where we have presence of all the stakeholders, academia, researchers, farmers, entrepreneurs, industries, budding future agricultural scientists, all together at one platform, being held at a prestigious institution, Tamil Nadu Agricultural University. We know that this university has played crucial role in agriculture revolution in our country. I would like to thank the Vice Chancellor and her team for organizing this event, inviting experts from across the country and across the world, and all the stakeholders together. They are sharing their researches, their experience, learning from each other and helping a revolution, that is millet revolution in the making. You know, when the British had left us, they had destroyed our economy. And the worst victim was our agriculture. There are records available in our state archive, Chennai, that tells you that at the beginning of 19th century, around 1810-20, this land was the leading in agricultural production. In one of the reports that I went through, it tells us that in 1800, around 1820, in the paddy growing area, our rice production was approximately 7 metric ton per hectare. Now 7 metric ton per hectare is a very ambitious target today. In our delta belt, where we have, which is known for rice bowl, of not only a state but of the country, the optimum, this production is comes about 6 metric ton. The most advanced country in the world in rice production, Japan, for them also 7 metric ton a hectare is a very ambitious target. But this was being done here, in our land. But this nearly 200 years of colonization that destroyed our agriculture. And when they left, we were a starving nation. Before the British came, India did not know famine. There was no history of famine before the British came in India. But subsequently, because they destroyed our agriculture, we began experiencing famine and millions of our people, they perished, they died. I remember as a young student in late 50s and 60s, in hostels, we used to have food scarcity. In hostels, the rice and wheat that we used to get, very often they were of substandard quality. And when some students complained on the quality of wheat and rice, we used to be told by the warden of the hostel, don't make noise. This is not yours. It has a gift from somewhere else. We used to look up to US and other countries to give us food grain. It was in that backdrop that thanks to our agricultural scientists and the farmers, when the country launched the Green Revolution, and the Prime Minister, Lal Bahadur Shastri gave a call, Jai Jawan, Jai Kishan. Because we were weak militarily. China had captured a large part of our territory. Pakistan has captured half of Jammu and Kashmir. And we were a starving country. Thanks to our agricultural scientists and farmers, within a short time, we not only became food sufficient, but we became food surplus. Today, we are providing food to the hungry people in many countries from time to time. That was the miracle done by our farmers and agricultural scientists. Today we are at a situation when we say we, in India we don't have food problem as such. But globally, a large part of humanity is still food deficient. There are hungers in significant part of the world. And even in our own country. Because of large production of rice, it is leading to some other kind of problems, unforeseen. Today, doctors tell us that in our state, Tamil Nadu, we have the largest number of diabetes patients here, people affected by diabetes. And one of the reasons they say is that our excessive dependence on rice. But everything is made of rice. And the doctors say that this excessive consumption of rice is leading to these health issues. Not only that, there are areas in our country those areas which are water deficient, but appropriate for growing other crops. Take the case of Punjab. Punjab was ideally suited for wheat production, and for long, Punjab remained the wheat basket of India. Average production of Punjab, agricultural production was almost 2.5 times higher than the national average till 1980s. But then the farmers there, we started moving towards rice. more and more rice cultivation. Rice need, we all know, we are all farmers. I come from a farmer family. In my younger days, in my school days, I had planted paddy saplings in my field. It is water intensive. It needs a lot of water. And when in Punjab, people have started moving to rice, they started exploiting the groundwater. And within 3 to 4 decades, what happened? Water table has gone so down that they find it difficult. They keep digging it 400, 500 feet, 1,000 meters. You have problem in getting water. Excessive use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides has rendered the soil infertile. Today, at one point of time, the state which used to have nearly 3 times larger than the average production, agricultural production, today it is less than this country's average. It has gone to so down. So, excessive dependence on rice and farming of crops not suited to a particular climate, particular territory. All these are creating imbalance in nature. That is, soils are becoming less productive, largely fallow, and health-related complications for our people. So, in the year 2018, our visionary Prime Minister, we all know how our country is transforming every day. About a decade back, we were at the margin of world affairs. Nobody took note of us. India was considered a third world country. Today, the whole world looks at India for leadership. Leadership in solving the global problem. And one of the global problems is food problem. There are large parts of the globe where people are underfed, people are hungry. And so, Prime Minister Modi declared, he realized there is a solution. And the solution is go to our old ways, farming according to which is suitable for the terrain. And millet. He declared 2018 in India as the year of the millet. In our country, we observed 2018 as the millet year. The whole world realized. And 5 years down the line, United Nations accepted it and declared 2023 as the year of the millet. International year of the millet. They realized the virtue of it, the capacity of it. They realized that the future of humanity lies in moving towards millets which are more nutritious and more nature friendly areas, various areas of the state. Some areas I have seen, especially go to the south, we have water problem. Some weeks back I was in Ramanathapuram. We know that in Ramanathapuram district there is a water problem. It's lying unutilized well. And there There I witnessed there are farmers, well educated, IIT, natural farming focused on millet. And it was so delightful to see how in that water deficient area, some enterprising young farmers, they began an experiment of producing millet which needs less water and in a way that gives them good yield. And I was happy to know that they are doing well. Other farmers are also coming and looking, seeing it for demonstration effect. More and more. And some of them have started running a training center for the farmers. They come and spend some time and learn how to turn this fallow land into a gold mine. This millet, which we have varieties, and we are perhaps, I am not fully aware, the scientists will confirm or deny, but the information that I have is that ours is a country which used to produce the largest quantity of millets, and perhaps even today, relatively we are producing larger quantity of millets. So, for a sustainable, healthy future, a sustainable, healthy future not only for our country, but even for the world, millet is the way forward. We know that we have a national leader. Every moment of that leader is committed to the service of our country. The country first, the nation first, but his vision is global, humanity. Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Yadu Mure, Yavaru Kere. For this, with this vision, beginning from this land, our country, we have to save the world. We have to save the world from many problems. And in many areas, our country is showing the way. Take the case of energy. We all know that the world is facing an all-destructive climate crisis. We know that our planet Earth is heating up, is warming up. Temperature is rising. We know that polar ice caps are melting. Glaciers are receding, they are melting and receding. Rivers are drying up. Seasons are unexpectedly getting more and more erratic. Some parts of the world which has been known for centuries as a cold place, they are experiencing heat waves and people are dying in hordes out of heat waves in a cold area. We are getting news off and on, flood in desert. We know that in coming a few decades, if drastic corrective measures are not taken, many of the island countries, small island countries, they will be wiped off the map of the world. They will all be submerged underwater. This is a devastating problem facing the world. And we know the reasons. The primary reason is excessive emission of carbon in the atmosphere. Carbon that we use for energy production. Fossil fuel. Energy is needed for development. And for that energy, all these years, we depended only on fossil fuel. But then, our country showed the way. When in 2015, the Prime Minister of India told the world to move to the alternative sources of energy, and alternative is green energy. Safe energy. Because the West, they were looking for alternative non-carbon, that was nuclear. The nuclear energy, yes, it is perhaps you need energy, it doesn't emit carbon. But we know that potential risk that it has. Because this is a power that humans know how to unleash, but they do not know how to control. They are helpless. So this cannot be a safe future for humanity. Today it might be needed, but we must be sure of tomorrow. So we must move away gradually from this to a safer source of energy. And when the Prime Minister of India, they told in the climate meeting conference in France that we must go for clean energy and the solar energy. We formed International Solar Alliance. At the time, many countries in the world were very skeptical. They thought, what is solar? So they knew solar energy. It's not that they didn't know it. But solar energy to that scale, that can be a viable alternative. They were not convinced. And there were very few takers. Today, we have more than 120 countries they have got membership of International Solar Alliance created by India. With headquarters in National Capital Territory of Delhi. And today, India has already achieved 40% independence from carbon in energy generation. Today, 40% of our energy needs are met from green energy, alternative sources of energy, safer energy. Solar is an important. We have gone towards the wind. Ethanol. Ethanol is agricultural produce. We started first, the country started with the target of E10, that in our entire petrol, which is used for fuel in our vehicles, wherever they are used, 10% will be ethanol blending. We achieved it before the target, and now we are shortly going to achieve E20, that is 20% of our fuel will be blended with ethanol that is free from carbon. We are also moving towards energy from garbage, waste. What the Prime Minister said? We have achieved ODF, open defecation free. Imagine, 8-9 years ago, nearly 60% of our country people used to go out in open for defecation. Today, it's a history everyone knows. Now we are moving towards ODF plus. How to convert waste into energy. And we are making success, remarkable success. And we have such a target that by 2030, 50% of India's energy need will be carbon-free, from carbon-free sources. And going by the performance of our people, going by the capacity of our countrymen and women, we are confident that we will achieve this target before 2030. These are bold initiatives. And if initiative succeeds in a country of 140 crores, there is no reason to believe it cannot succeed in the rest of the world. It is not a small experiment. It's not an experiment with a country of maybe 2 crore, 3 crore, 4 crore, 10 crore. No, it is 140 crore. And if it can succeed here, it can succeed in the whole of the rest of the world as well. So, India is showing the way to a sustainable future. Sustainable future for humanity in every field. The field where we are facing a major crisis. As I said, carbon, that is heating up, the climate crisis. General fitness. We know that as the prosperity comes, we tend to become sedentary. When we start consuming more, tendency is to ignore your health. And then we start having problems which are the problem that comes primarily out of our lifestyles. Sedentary life. I have seen in areas where people used to be absolutely fit. I was, before coming over here, I was in Nagaland. In Nagaland is still a village-centric state. Society is village-centric. Villages are one, which are around which the life revolves. And in many of the villages, you will be happy to know that the village chiefs, a large number of them are more than 100 years old and they are healthy. A 105-year-old man comes and gives me a lecture, half an hour lecture on how to live a healthy life. But we are also in the urban areas. Now we are witnessing obesity. Tribals are losing the life of the old way of living, and because of prosperity and eating unhealthy food and unhealthy lifestyle, more and more lifestyle diseases. Nobody knew before what is blood pressure, what is diabetes, hypertension. These things were not known before. But these are more prevalent today, and many more number of people are dying because of this than any pandemic or any other infectious disease. So, and this is happening across the world, in a world where wherever there is a growth in prosperity, we have this problem. So the fitness, people to be fit. And our country, we started a movement, Prime Minister started a movement. Fit India, yoga. Yoga, which our people have been doing for thousands of years, but mostly we were not conscious of it. Some people were doing it. It is a very proud heritage to keep yourself healthy physically and mentally. But when Prime Minister gave a call for yoga and Fit India, the whole world accepted and yoga became an international event. We know that June 21 is Yoga Day, International Yoga Day. So in futuristic world, how the future world should be like? Future world should be a safe planet, healthy people. A safe planet and healthy people is only through a sustainable way of life. It cannot be through a life completely driven by consumerism. The Western way of life, it has now taught us a lesson, taught them a lesson and has taught us also a lesson. So now we are showing the way forward. Because this country has a great responsibility. This country has never been inward looking. For a long, long time, for thousands of years, India cared for the humanity. India, our country, Bharat, has never only thought about us. Right from the ancient time, after thanks to my coming to this beautiful estate, so rich in its ancient heritage and literature, when I read the old text of Tamil, everywhere the concern is for the humanity, it's not only for myself or yourself, the whole. This has been the true character of India. This is what defines us. During long period of foreign invasion and colonization, we lost quite a lot of this consciousness. But then we have to regain it. Not for ourselves, but for the world. You know, in 1947, when India became independent, you know, it was a great moment of joy for us. And by now I'm sure all of my friends sitting here and elsewhere in Tamil Nadu will be aware of something very, very significant that happened on that day from this land. You might have read the newspaper about Simbo. Because when the British, when they were to leave India, they wanted to know, will there be any ritual or just signing on a paper, 2 signatures? Because in Britain, there is a tradition, some of you might have seen recently how the new king was coronated. There was a ritual. So they were also curious to know whether India has a ritual. And when they asked the then Prime Minister, well, what is going to be the formality? How are we going to have the transfer of power? Our then Prime Minister, a very brilliant person, intelligent person, but because of his European education, English education, he was not familiar much with our traditions. So he looked at a great person, a great statesman, as son of this soil, Rajaji, Rajgopalachari. And he asked him, do we have any ritual? Because British are asking, do we have? Raja said, yes, of course we have. India for a very, very long time, for thousands of years, there has been a tradition of transfer of power. Before the foreign invasion and colonization, our Rajas, our empires, emperors, whenever there has been a transfer, change, the new person has come, there has been a ritual. And in here, in Tamil, there has been a very old tradition of since the time of, even before, but it continued for long in the time of our great Cholas. And the tradition was transfer of symbol, which is in other Indian languages it is called Dharmadand, Rajdand, Dharmadand. And here it was performed, transfer happened through a ritual performed by the learned people with recitation of Devara. Chants, slokas, or hymn composed by our great saint Tirunyan Sambandha, one of the great Myanmars. I had occasion to visit his birthplace, Sirgadi, only a few days back. You get such a positive vibration when you go to that place, if only you are receptive to it. So, he said, yes, we have. And Rajaji organized this entire event of ritual regarding transfer of power. The then Tanjore district, currently Mayiladuthurai district, Tiruvadurai, Adinam, Rajaji approached the Adinam. They drew the diagram and symbol was made by a renowned jeweler of Chennai. It was taken Guru Mahasanidhanam was not well. His deputy was deputed. And Nadaswaram Maestro, Rajaratnam Pillai and his troop accompanied. They all went to Delhi and that symbol was given at the right time and given to Mountbatten, and from him it was taken by our priest, purified, sanctified with the holy water, and then given to the then Prime Minister of India. That ritual somehow, unfortunately, we have forgotten. Though the national and international media covered it very well, reported in all the papers. Here Tamil papers reported, there were not many Tamil papers at the time, but they reported. Hindu reported, Indian Express reported, a Statesman reported, Hindustan Times reported, Times magazine from America, they reported the whole event. Historian of our national independence, they have recorded in their books. But somehow this proud event is not in our memory. This symbol was located in a museum in Allahabad, which is called Prayagraj today. And this symbol is being reinstalled, or rather installed, in the new Parliament building day after, 28th of May, when the new Parliament building is inaugurated. And 20 Adinams from here, they have gone over there to perform this ritual. It must be. But on that day, something more was there. We have a great Rishi Aurobindo. Rishi Aurobindo on the day, he was a great revolutionary. He fought the British. And subsequently escaped to Pondicherry, which was under French control. And there he became a spiritual leader. On that day, he wrote his dream for Bharat. And there he said, Bharat has a duty. He said that in entire universe, scientists are here who know it. Even my other friends have, by and large, everyone knows it. The entire universe, so far we have found Earth is the only planet where we have life. Which is an evolutionary planet, where consciousness is evolving at different stages of evolution, from marine to insects, on the land, to other animals, and finally evolving to human with larger consciousness. And even humans are evolving further to the higher level of consciousness. And in this consciousness, there is an awareness that the entire world is a failure. There is one God who, after creating this universe, creation lives in every being. All of you, hundreds of people sitting here, are the same as I am. The variations that we see are apparent variation. Our old scriptures say, avibhaktam vibhaktesu, indivisible yet looking divided. Like leaves of a tree. A big tree has millions of leaves. No two leaves are alike. But no two leaves are separate. They are integrally connected with the tree. Beyond the tree, leaf has no existence. This awareness was there in our people several thousand years ago. This awareness is there amply written in our Sangam literature. And so, here is a land where consciousness is evolving towards that realization that the whole world is a failure. And that is the only way we can save the world. The world can be a failure, live like a kudumba. So, he said that this country, Bharat, has an obligation, a duty to grow to that level to save the world. And I think, friends, that moment has come today. When the world is facing crisis, be it climate, be it poverty, be it conflict and war, be it pandemic. We saw the COVID pandemic. Whole world was affected. But when the rich and advanced countries, when they developed vaccine, they raised the price of vaccine, they started looking at it as an opportunity to make more money. It was this country, our country, Bharat, thanks to our scientists, when they produced the vaccines in a record time. And now the world has accepted that our vaccine is among the best in the world. We gave this vaccine to people of more than 150 countries, of which more than 100 countries it was free. Poor countries. We saved the lives of crores and crores of people. This is Bharat Sanskar. This is in our DNA. So, to create a future for the world, Bharat has to take the lead. And towards that, in terms of food sufficiency, healthy food sufficiency, we have to move towards alternative crops. And that answer is millet. We all know it is nutritious. We all know they are climate resilient. We all know that they are not so full of hassles as other crops are. It's not difficult to grow them. And we can grow in areas which are water deficient. So, we have to now move towards it. And in this millet revolution, we had a green revolution in 60s. Today we are beginning a millet revolution. And in this millet revolution, India has to show the way to the world. And here, the role of our agricultural scientists in creating, producing qualitatively advanced varieties of millets. High yielding millets. Towards this millet farming, making industry to chip in wholeheartedly, startups, our young entrepreneurs to get into this. This combination of all is a must for this revolution to succeed. And this revolution has to succeed. There is no alternative. There is no alternative for us, there is no alternative for the world. So all my farmers, brothers and sisters, those of you who are going for millet farming, you are not only think it for a moment, what you are doing is not only for yourself or your family, you are doing a great service to the country, you are doing a great service to the humanity. Here, there's a range of issues. From while the scientists in the laboratories, they come up with the new varieties. Farmers have to produce. So the awareness among the farmers, greater awareness. The processing of the produce, value addition, providing the market and farm linkages. All these are crucial links in the entire chain of millet revolution. In this, Tamil Nadu Agricultural University is playing a lead role. I am really very, very happy and thankful to the university, the entire team of the university which is doing this work. This university had played a seminal role at the time of Green Revolution. We all know. And it is only befitting that this institution takes the lead for the new revolution, that is millet revolution. With its more and more programs, more and more outreach, I am sure what you are doing, what you all are doing here, it will transform the country, it will transform the world. I wish all of you the very best. The experts and scientists, those who have come from different parts of the country and the world, I express my greetings and gratitude to them for coming and sharing their experience, their knowledge, and taking something away from this, because I know that this place, this institution, and the farmers of this place, they have a lot to share with the rest of the country and the rest of the world. It must have been an enriching experience for all. I wish everyone all the very best. My warmest greetings and best wishes to all of you once again. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.
ஏதாவது கவர்னர் சார் கிட்ட கேட்கணும்னா நீங்க ஒரு 2 கேள்வி மட்டும் எடுத்துப்பாரு. ஏன்னா நம்ம டைம் ஆயிட்டதால ஒரு 1 or 2 questions மட்டும் எடுத்துப்பாரு. சீக்கிரமா கேளுங்க, டைம் இல்ல.
மூர்த்தி, சேர்மன் தமிழ்நாடு கன்சர்வேஷன் ஆஃப் ப்ரொடியூசர் கம்பெனி. எமது நிறுவனத்தில் 36 எஃப்பிஓக்கள் உறுப்பினராக உள்ளார்கள். இந்தியாவில் நிறைய கன்சர்ஷியம் நிறைய உள்ளது. இந்த கன்சர்ஷியம் கம்பெனிகளுக்கு இதுவரை நிதியுதவி எதுவும் கிடைக்கவில்லை. வரும் காலங்களில் நிதியுதவி அதிகமாக கிடைத்து கன்சர்ஷியம் கம்பெனி வலுப்பெற ஆவணம் செய்ய வேண்டும்.
about the finance for the farmer producer organizations.
Farmer FPOs to getting financial assistance, I think there is a valid point. I think there are some schemes that means I'm not very sure how much people here are aware of it, but I think yes, some degree of hand holding would be very desirable. And do we have awareness about what all assistance we have, what all schemes we have?
Yes, sir. We are informing them through our incubating center, sir. And we have now joined hands with 120 farmer producer organizations. TNAU will personally nurture with them and we will inform them all the available schemes.
You know what? Sometimes I have seen our problem, not only here, but in other parts of the country also we have a problem of lack of awareness. There are schemes, but beneficiaries, those who are supposed to make use of the scheme, they are not aware of it. Now that is a problem that we need to, that is one. Over and above, if something to be done, yes, it should be, why not? So I think you can create awareness about the existing schemes, prepare a kind of a literature, share with them. These are the schemes in Tamil language. These are the schemes, and not only the schemes, how to make use of that schemes. Because when I met many, I meet entrepreneurs. When I met them, one of the problems they raised, they used to tell about access to finance. Because we know that for an entrepreneurship, we need three things. One, person's desire to do something. Second is how to do it. And third is money, capital. Now many of them are not aware of Mudra schemes. When up to 10 lakhs rupees is free. Collateral free. And even if it sinks, one doesn't have to worry too much about it. So lack of awareness. I think if you can do
Yes,
it,
sir. Definitely, sir.
Thank you.
கவர்னர் அவர்களுக்கு நிறைய ப்ரோக்ராம் இருக்கிறதால நம்ம திருப்பி சார் வருவாங்க. அப்ப நான் உங்களை திருப்பி இன்வைட் பண்றேன். Thank you so much. நீங்க கொஞ்சம் நம்ம அடுத்த தாட்டி எடுத்துக்கலாம் இந்த questions. Thank you so much, sir. We'll take it up in your next
Anyone
visit.
else?
Yes, sir. There are so many, but we will take it up during the next visit. Our students are waiting, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
so
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, dignitaries. We invite the Director of
Good afternoon, everyone. The most respected and honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, the Chancellor of it, members of FPOs, farmers friend, my dear colleagues, student friends from number one position in terms, not only in terms of economy, but also set by our honorable Governor as a Vishwaguru or a global leader by 2047, that is during the 100th year of our independence. So this will be made possible through growth and self-reliance in all pillars of economy, like to achieve this desired growth, proper planning, clear vision, effective implementation and measuring outcomes are very crucial, and this will be made possible only through involvement of everyone from all corners of society, including leaders, policymakers, research institutions, farmers and industry. These are all more important. So we are all fortunate to have a learned leader as our Honorable Governor of Tamil Nadu, who is a guiding force for us to implement our new programs. So presence of our Honorable Governor here shows the interest. So you could have understood from the narration that from the historical years how we have gone down in terms of agricultural productivity, the messages on degrading environment, importance of adoption of sustainable agricultural practices, including our own health. This clearly shows the interest, affection and love of our Honorable Governor towards the citizens of this state. We are all proud, privileged and motivated by the presence of Honorable Governor, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So on behalf of everyone here, and next, on behalf of everyone, I thank our vibrant leader, respected Vice Chancellor of TNAU, for shaping this event a grand success, and Madam's visionary program So adapting FPOs and then TNAU So these are all going to make revolutions in the agriculture sector of Tamil Nadu. We are sure that TNAU will reach its next level under your able leadership, madam. So our thanks to the hard efforts of Vice Chancellor. I sincerely thank all the farmers, members of FPOs from the different parts of Tamil Nadu for their participation, involvement and dedication. I also thank all the staff of TNAU, extension officials, student friends, staff, press and media for their support and coordination. Thank you one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you so much, sir. Without taking time, I request our Hon'ble Governor to take over the session.
Dear friends, this is absolutely free, relaxed. Don't feel formal, don't feel that yes, some great people owes a lot to this institution. Right from the Green Revolution, time to time, this institution has remarkably helped in meeting the food needs of our country. We know that it is the topmost, the first among all the universities, agricultural universities in our country. But it is also an institution which has produced a large number of civil servants. We find in IAS, IPS, IFS, many central services, many high positions, people are from this institute. This institute has also produced a lot of entrepreneurs, those who have been able to come and grow into the big industries. So you are all privileged to be alumni of this great institution. Take pride in it. Take pride in it and shape your future as you wish, as you decide. All that I will say, your wish must be big. You should not wish less. You should not dream small. Because if you dream small, you will grow small. So dream big, fly. Now, I will stop in this monologue. I am talking and you are listening. I would like you to feel free. It's an interaction. Interaction means you ask and I say. I respond. Ask questions which you feel like. And don't feel shy of asking any question. Even if it appears to you, it may appear an absurd question. No question is absurd. Feel free. Okay. Who will make the beginning? Yes, good. Ice is broken. Now I am sure many more will ask.
Good afternoon, Honorable Governor, sir. I am Jagannath, currently studying in BTech Energy and Environmental Engineering. So my question to you is there any opportunities for us undergraduate engineering students wherein we can learn industry and business ready skills, whether we can learn as well as only for finances?
Please sit down. While you are graduating, opportunity to learn with the industry and also acquire business skill. Is that your question? Right. I think it is very much there, and in our national education policy it is a part of it. You know, today education is not bookish knowledge. Of course, as an agricultural university graduate, you cannot just have bookish, you must be experimenting in the farm. But even then, when it comes to industry, because here you do in a laboratory, your laboratory is a piece of land where you experiment with things. But when you scale it up to industry, it needs a different level of skill, different level of knowledge input. What are the problems that one faces? How to overcome these problems? Now in the national education policy, there is an integration. We often talk about industry-academia linkages. It is more relevant in the professional colleges, professional universities, engineering, especially, and agriculture, where you are acquiring the knowledge, but from the laboratory, but you are experimenting and learning in the industry. I am not very sure, I must confess, whether TNAU has, how active is the industry links. You have industrial link, I know for sure, but how active, do we have a kind of, no, now the way to move forward is that from among your, when you are graduating, some semesters are marked for your links with the industry. Where you are not in the campus, you are in the industry and you work with them. Now this has to be streamlined, where it's a part of your credit system, where you get it's added to that. Problem we are facing also in the engineering colleges. Because industries, they tell that our engineers have the degrees, but they lack the skill. They also want that if engineering graduates come for 6 months, for 2 semesters, if they come to us, industry, they work with us. They soil their fingers, their hand. Because you cannot learn swimming by reading the textbook. You have to jump into the water. Now this is not yet streamlined, but it has to be streamlined. And I sincerely urge the Vice Chancellor and the team, I am not aware what kind of or institutionalized link you have. Exposure to industry by a small visit or a small interaction is not enough. Because when about a year ago, when I asked the industries to take engineering students for links, and when some months later when I asked them, they said, no sir, sorry, we will not take them. Why? Why? They come as a visitor, once a week they come to visit our industry. We don't want visitors, they distract us. We have to depute someone to tell them what we are doing. If they are, and they also don't learn anything. So they must come with us, we will pay them a stipend. We won't mind paying them some stipend if they come and work, because we also gain with their presence. And they also learn practically. Now that kind of exposure to industry with TNU also is a must. Without that, I'm not very sure what is the way out. So I think it should be integrated in the course where we have active secondment, internship. As you know, MBBS graduate, it doesn't get the degree merely by 4-year course. 1 year, that graduate, he or she has to work as an intern, treat the patients. And after that only the person gets the degree, doesn't get the degree. Similarly here, we have to have an active secondment to university, to industry, relevant industry, where our graduates go, work with them, live with them, and absorb this. I think TNU being the leading university, the #1 university, agricultural university in our country, must show the way.
Sir, for submission, sir, we are having 2 0+10 courses wherein the students will be sent half a semester to one industry, another half a semester to another industry of their choice, sir. So they will be learning completely once after this for only the experiential learning. They will not come to the university at all, sir, for the whole semester. That is how we planned this, sir. 4th year, first semester.
Now a semester lasts for 3 months?
No, sir, It's 6 months,
6
5 and a
months.
half months.
Okay, so 6 months you are okay. So no, 6 months they are now with the industry.
Yes, sir.
And industry related to agriculture, of course.
Agriculture and
Agriculture.
allied. Yes, sir.
I think that that's the way. That's the way. I think he will learn. He will earn also a bit, because if the industry is not that, you have to negotiate with them.
Yes,
They must
yes,
give them.
Yes, sir.
You know, many places, for example, MBBS intern, the hospitals pay them 40,000, 20,000 rupees they pay a stipend. Good, you are learning and you are earning. That's the way. Thank you. Next.
Good afternoon, sir. On behalf PDF Research Fellow from Egypt, my question is, what are the policies and the steps that India government is taking or targeting to attract more international students from developing countries to study and doing research in India in near future?
You know, India has been expanding very significantly. We are doing both ways. One is opening our institutions, academic institutions, including professional institutions, to the students from the rest of the world. So they come and study here. Universities and institutions across the world are also opening their doors to our students. We are also now, as a matter of policy, Government of India has taken the decisions to allow reputed international institutions to open their campus in India. So a reputed institution in some country, let us say Egypt, in some field, they wish to set up a campus in India. Policy guideline is clear, they can open it. We are resolving how to do it, about details of it. These have to be worked out, and these are being worked out. It will help our students from India. They don't have to spend so much by going abroad, because going abroad becomes expensive. And sitting here in India, they have the experience, the knowledge, the experts from other parts will come and deliver or share. So in India we are opening it, and we are making it easier even by simplifying the visa process. That in certain sectors we have made it easy and smooth for the applicants to get the visa, Indian visa. They can come and study. We are working on it to further expand it. We will do it. We will continue doing it, because we believe in one world, one future. We like to move on that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, nowadays education is becoming
Oh, you are here. I will be here. Oh, this camera fellows have covered you. Welcome.
Which among these three you would suggest which will sustain us in this competitive world, sir?
Say again, you said that youth are now today education is towards goal oriented.
Yes, sir.
And
But we are not getting in-depth knowledge or skill in that field. But we need that skill and also knowledge to become any entrepreneur or any other goal we have to reach, sir.
what's your name?
Vignesh.
Vignesh. I think Vignesh, for this to get degree, that's I will agree with you. The goal, but that should not be the goal. It has unfortunately it has become a goal today. So when I was telling about industry and engineering students linkages, when industry told me that unless they come and they get embedded with us, we will not receive the visitors, weekly visitors. No. So when I ask the universities, what is the problem? They say most of our students are unwilling because they believe that once they get the degree, they will get the job. So unfortunately, this getting degree has become a goal. Now, that cannot be the goal. This is a misplaced goal. Goal cannot be getting a degree. Because you should realize today that in today's world, by now you must have realized that your degree is not of much help. It gives you eligibility in a way that yes, it gives you a piece of paper. But unless you are useful to the industry is not going to take you because you flaunt your degree. I am a degree holder. I am a first class first. Maybe, so what? If it is bookish knowledge, that is not knowledge. Bookish knowledge is essentially a superficial knowledge. The knowledge is one which you have internalized, which you have to practice. And there comes the skill. And that is why in our national education policy, there is a whole thrust on a skill. A skill. If you have the skill, you have the way forward. Not only getting a job, but you can be job giver. You can start yourself. But if you have a degree, you will be a job seeker moving towards, begging, moving from place to place, showing your degree, asking for it. It's a merciless world. Nobody takes pity on a person who is not useful. You have to have the skill. And that skill gives you the confidence. And that confidence makes you a useful citizen. Useful to the industry, useful to yourself, to your faith. So the whole thrust of our national education policy is towards a skill. And that is how we have now, and just you heard now, our Vice Chancellor mentioned about it, that we have one full semester now we are having linked with the industry for what? When you go and live with the industry, you soil your hand, work there as an apprentice and learn things, how to do it. That is how it is. A person who knows the theoretical knowledge of swimming will never be engaged as a swimming coach unless the person dives into the water and does the miracle. So that is how it has to be. The goal is not degree, forget about it. The goal has to be a skill. Yes, next.
Sir, I recently had the privilege to visit Cranfield University in the United Kingdom for my doctoral research, where I had an opportunity to interact with the Lords of the House, ministers in the Parliament, and I gained the insight on the involvement of scholars in policy making. So I'm curious to know if there are any initiatives or measures that government is considering or are being considered to involve or to collaborate the scholars and the policymakers in future.
Please tell me your name. Anyone first tell your name and then tell the question. What's your name?
Sangeeta.
Sangeeta. Okay, Sangeeta, sit down please. I think you might be observing one thing in our country today. And this is for the last 8-9 years when the Prime Minister came. Government policies are not framed by the government, people in the government. People in the government, in the art of governance, they can be administrative. But policies have to be in sync with what the needs of the society. And how to fulfill that need, only experts know how to do it. Identifying the problem, and the second is finding a solution to the problem. things are not with the government. Those who are within the government, civil servants, bureaucrats, the difference that was before the new Prime Minister coming and the old and the before that, everyone thought in the government, civil servants and the bureaucrats thought that they know the problem of the society because we all come from that society. But the truth is, though we come from the society, the reality is we do not fully appreciate the problem of the society. There is a paradox. There is no foreigner here. Everyone is from this very country. But by virtue of our name, our work, the job that we do, we live in our own respective world. Let us say an agricultural scientist working in TNAU, a professor here, or a civil servant elsewhere. What is the life of this? You get up in the morning, you read some newspaper. If you are interested in some walking, shopping, you do all this. Get ready, have breakfast, come to your laboratory or office, do the work, meet with the people around you. In the evening, go back to your family, your house. You watch some TV, something on the TV news or whatever you like. Family, have your dinner, spend some time, some gossip, and then you sleep. This is the reality. Every organization has its own living culture, and that culture is not exactly the culture of the society. When I say culture, means the way the society thinks, the way your community thinks. Agricultural scientists will think, the way the bureaucrats and civil servants think. Their knowledge is based on the newspaper, oh, something like this has happened. And they start thinking a solution to that. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to involve the society. And you would be knowing, Sangeeta, you should know, I am telling all of you. Our national education policy was not framed by the people in the government. This national education policy, which is a revolutionary, has been framed by people outside the government, in the academia, in the civil society, in various sectors, industries, entrepreneurs. Several 100,000 people. They have contributed their experience, their wisdom, and this is the distillation of that. What the government has done is put it together and now is in the phase of implementing it. And even for implementing, we depend on, not entirely on the government, we depend on the people around. What happened in the UK, happening, in fact, they today are completely, in the Western world, is floored by our national education policy. I have been meeting people of the US, Canada, UK, different countries in Europe. This is revolutionary, we have never thought of it. We have to implement it. If the country today, another thing is, one is make the policy by involving people, those who are experts, not only experts, but those who are consumers. A cobbler may know how to make a beautiful shoe, but the wearer knows how comfortable it must be. So the consumer are also responsible. They are a primary stakeholder, they cannot be ignored. It cannot be left only to the experts. Experts are technical people, they have to find a solution. But the problem is faced by the people, those who are consumers. So they have to be part of it. Experts have to be part of it. Involve them, their wisdom, their experience, their needs, and then you form the policy. That is how we've done. And when it comes to implementation, implementation is again outside the government, the civil society is to play a crucial role. Now, I am just asking all of you, till about a decade back, 60% of our country was going for open defecation. All over the country. Used to go in the field. Today no one does it. People have their own. Every house has a toilet. Could it have been possible for the government to build toilets in every houses? No. It has to be with the mass participation. It is through mass participation that a policy is successfully implemented. When the government decided, okay, our rural folks, poor women, they must have access to cooking gas. A good policy, but how do you implement it? For the mass awareness and also mass participation in another way, that there are more than 20 million people, they gave up their subsidy in favor of those who are needy. Government would not have got the resources to provide it to everyone. But it happened because 20 million people chose to give up their subsidy because they felt that we can afford it, poor people may not, and then those who made it possible. So awareness, mass awareness. So mass participation in policy formulation, taking the experts and the consumer and implementation of the mass in policy implementation are something which is transforming the country today. If the country today in the world, we are one of the leading startup ecosystem. Today we are top 3 countries in the world in our startup, number of startup and the nature of a startup. About a decade back, we didn't even have 500 startups. Today we have more than 100,000 startups. Who is doing it? Is the government who is doing it? No. It is the people like you who are doing it. Young people, young men and women are doing it. All that government is doing is creating a conducive atmosphere where you do it. I have seen here in this state, young school children are making satellites. A girl from one of the rural district, Tiruvannamalai, builds a solar ironing cart. High school student. She did a study that every ironing cart consumes about 5 kilo of oats, and with the millions of ironing carts, because they are in the villages and all the core cities and urban areas, corner, ironing people need ironing. And they were causing so much of coal burning and emission. She gave an idea, designed, given to our center in Gujarat. That design was given, she was invited because they appreciated. They helped in fabricating that cart, solar energy driven ironing cart. Now this idea of it, you need to create that atmosphere where the youth should be able to think new and experiment. So this is there, it is happening today, and in coming days, it will happen more. And then, as I told you, that those countries are now looking at us with a mixed feeling. Will India be able to do it? It is very ambitious. Can they do it? But increasingly they are realizing that India can do it. We have done it in the field of energy. I was just talking in the hall next door that such a large country, where the rest of the world has been depending too much on fossil fuel, India, we have moved away, almost 40% we have already crossed. Our energy is carbon free. This is happening because a farmer is growing ethanol in the field. People are putting solar panel on their houses to harness the solar energy. Somebody is creating a biogas plant in the backyard. It is this collective strength which is now meeting the energy need of the alternative energy need of the country. So it is a mass participation. And so the world is coming to realize, yes, Indians can do it, and India is doing it. It is happening, and it will happen more. Next.
0.5 to 3 lakh per year, while India only receives 25 to 30,000 patents annually. So my question is, what is the government strategies aimed in narrowing this gap and facilitating the commercialization of patent products?
Thank you, Vidhu sir. Thank you. A very good question. Patent signify. Patent signify someone doing something new. A new product or new process has been created which was not there before. And that is why that is patent. It has two aspects. One is creating the new process or the product, and the second is patent process itself. There are two parts of it. One is creating a new process or a product which needs to be patented, and the second is a patent procedure. You know, our country leaders, first, when Lal Bahadur Shastri was the Prime Minister, he had given a call, Jai Jawan, Jai Kishan. Hail to the soldiers, hail to the farmers. Because we needed to be secure and we needed to be fully fed. Subsequently, there was another leader, Atal Bihari Vajpayee. He added one more, Jai Jawan, Jai Kishan, Jai Vigyan. Vigyan is science. We must, the focus is on science. More and more science, more and more STEM, as you know it. STEM discipline. But subsequently we had a Prime Minister who added one more, Jai Jawan, Jai Kishan, Jai Vigyan, Jai Anusandhan, research. Jai Anusandhan. Hail to new discoveries, inventions, innovations. Now, Government of India, you know, what you have about 25 to 30,000 patents today, the figure was much, much less about a decade back. We are trying to improve that process both. On the one hand, yes, China has taken a lead, of course US had taken a lead long back. We did not concentrate on these things. We continued to, a country of such a large size, for decades it continued moving on a suboptimal scale. Moving at suboptimal scale. If you have a capacity to run at 10 kilometers an hour, I am sure many of you will be able to run at 12 to 13 kilometers an hour. 10 kilometers is not that, but for an average person, 10 kilometers an hour is a fairly high speed. But even if presuming you have the capacity to run at 10 kilometers an hour, and if you trot at 2 kilometers or 3 kilometers, it is suboptimal. We did not realize the potential of our people, our youth. We developed a client-patron relationship. People kept looking at the government to give us something. Every small thing, people look up to government as if government will give and people will pay. No, a country of this size cannot grow like this. It has to be with the strength of the people. And with this realization, the thrust was Anusandhan, innovation. And if we today, as I told you, that from less than 500 about a decade back, if we have more than 100,000 a startup today, more than 100,000, and more than 110 of them are unicorn. And you know what unicorn is? Unicorn is when a startup is valued at $1 billion and above, US dollar. This happened because of our creativity of our youth. They started with. Go to institutions and you see that way. At all, in the field of agriculture, in the field of space, in field of marine, every field. Revolution is happening in this country. It was not, we didn't even think of it. We never thought that we should unleash the strength. Government thought government is the mother, father, parent, and government must do it. No. It is the people must do it. Our youth must do it. And they can do it. Our youth, 250,000 IITians are running the entire advanced science and technology in US. United States Science and Technology, be it NASA or be it any other center, are being run by our IITians, our boys and girls, young men and women. We didn't provide them opportunity here. They went to it. They can do wonders here. With this thought, there is a fundamental change in our approach. And while we are talking about the less number of patents, it is a fact. Because we have started with a rock bottom, a scratch. We didn't encourage even, and in the process we also have a teething problems. How to smoothen the process of patenting. Because patenting has national as well as international dimension. When you patent something, this patent process for patent has to be something which gives you even the international acceptance. We are learning, we are smoothening the process. We are trying to make it easier. And you will see, it will become far more visible in years to come, in days to come. So the greater thrust on innovation, greater thrust on research, it means, and that is why when the NAC, accreditation, this is one of the factors. How many patents your university has?
Right now we have the...
No, I'm not asking a question. I'm just telling you that earlier, they asked, NAC people asked, what is happening? And the university, the institution that has a higher number of patents, they get higher recognition. So there is a greater recognition and thrust on patents. Innovation. And it will happen. You will see more and more of it. Thank you. Next.
Sir, we Indians are known for our culture and ethics that inspired many foreigners to incorporate our culture into their lifestyle. For example, increasing cultivation and consumption of moringa in Brazil. But we are westernizing ourselves, leaving our culture behind. So my question is, does government has any plans in enhancing our culture with ourselves and as well as with our foreigners?
What's your name, you said?
Shivaranjani.
Shivaranjani, thank you, sir. A very good question. When India was under the foreign rule, there were leaders. There were leaders who were thinking of how to get independence, and they were also thinking of, after independence, how this country should move forward. And one of such leaders was Swami Vivekananda. Swami Vivekananda realized that in this country, while we have such a rich cultural heritage, in the field of material knowledge, in the field of science and technology, we are very behind, way behind. And that was the reason for our poverty. Europeans, they were advanced in science and technology. Through Industrial Revolution, they were moving forward. Invariably, every leader realized that this country has to grow economically, that is materially, and also culturally. The Indian National Congress, which was leading the National Freedom Movement in an organized way, National freedom movement in this country began from day one. The British started capturing territory. In this land, the national freedom movement began when from 18th century. We go back to 1751, 1752 when people started fighting the British. They did not allow even an inch of this territory being taken by the British without a fight. But all these fights were localized. In an organized resistance to the British, it began after the First World War. And at that point of time, when they started, the first movement was not for independence. They started moving for home rule. Give us some say in our administration. How we should be governed, we should have a say in that. We were pleading with the British. But in 1930, 26th of January, in Lahore Declaration, for the first time, demand for a total independence was made. Purna Swaraj, total independence, total. And what was the reason? In the resolution of that convention, conference of Indian National Congress, the resolution was, it read like, British rule has destroyed India politically, economically, culturally, and spiritually. Now, we talk about our political freedom we got because British land. We talk about economic prosperity, but that alone is not enough. What is India? Every country identity is the character of that country, the culture of that country. And if India has to grow to its destiny, it cannot just grow only in the field of science and technology, it also has to grow in the domain of what defines this country. This is its culture, kalachar. This resurgence has to be. Swami Vivekananda said that if India only grows materially, only in science and technology, it will be only an imitation of the West. And what is that? You grow materially and you keep fighting all the wars, global destruction, the climate destruction, lack of empathy, lack of compassion. As a result, some parts of the world are super rich and you have another part of the world people are deprived of food and basic medicine. This is an unequal world, not sustainable. There is no compassion in the Western civilization. Rabindranath Tagore, in one of his visits to the United States of America, he delivered a talk. He said, the soul of Western civilization is of a machine. Soul of the Western civilization is of a machine. And this machine, to keep itself moving, it uses humans as fuel, as fodder. It consumes people, kills people, destroys people. It doesn't have that compassion. This country cannot grow only materially. It has to grow. It has to strengthen its culture. Because that is what teaches us the element of compassion. When in the pandemic, India shared the vaccine with more than 150 countries, needy people in the world, it was the culture of India, because we cannot bear the suffering elsewhere. If something happens, we cannot. We need to share. We had our problem. We didn't have at the beginning sufficient vaccine for ourselves, but did not wait for only vaccinating the whole of country, and then no, we'll share. At the same, while we will vaccinate our people, we will also share with the rest of the world needy. This is necessary. So that is why there has to be a cultural resurgence. And this cultural resurgence is a must. It has to be, I agree with you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With permission of the Honorable Governor, may I request to raise your hands. How many of you have questions and have urged to discuss with our Governor now? So there are many hands, but unfortunately we do not have time. I wish that our Governor could spend more time with us, but he has very important meeting back in Chennai. So may I request one last question. Then Governor is going to be with us in the next month for our convocation. That time maybe we will request our Honorable Governor to spare more time with the students.
Vice Chancellor is smart enough. She has already fixed me for next month. I have only said next month we will have a convocation early. But she has fixed next month. Okay. Now, one question, yes?
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Mritika. So my question is, so nowadays urban opportunities are attracting the rural people and migration happens. So what are the plans of government on this rural-urban migration and its impact on agriculture?
You know, the urbanization is also a feature of a new civilization. New civilization is started with industrial revolution. Industries started cropping up wherever the raw materials were there. And from there it was easy to pass on the products to the market. And since industries were located here and there, people working in the industries came from remote areas. That disrupted the family. That disrupted the thousands years of old family system that defined our country. Because in an urban place, urban setting, no one knows the neighbor. Very few. Now this is not acceptable. Why do people migrate from rural to urban? It became such that China went in a big way urbanizing the whole China. Because they thought that that's the only way to prosperity. And that disrupted the entire social system in China. Of course, the Chinese communist philosophy does not believe in the social system. They wanted to destroy that and create a new engineering, social engineering, where strangers will be living along with some kind of an agreed framework. Now this is not workable. In India, people will be like everywhere. People move from rural to urban for better opportunities, better income, and ease of life, where you have amenities of living, good health care. Besides earning money, you have a good health care, good education system because you have education institutions around. You also have entertainment places, eateries, there are restaurants and all those things where we going to go and eat. Now, it is there, but it comes at a heavy cost. Disruption in the family values. As a result, we are having problems. West is having more, we have also started having old age problem. People who are, children have gone away, old age parents are left high and dry, nobody there to care for it. People are reconciling, it's not acceptable. This is not India, this is not Bharat. So, the thrust is, instead of migration from rural to urban, why not we provide those things in the rural areas itself? Towards this, we have a number of schemes we have started. Central government has come up with a number of schemes to develop the rural areas where people have opportunities for work which will give them higher return, more money, earn more, and also will give them access to good education. You have institutions, health care, you don't have to go far out, and also related amenities of life, as I told you, like restaurant, all those things which will come with it, entertainment and all. This is, now we have begun. And my own sense is that in coming decades you will see the change. At some scale, smaller scale, there are some private initiative also. People out of government also are doing it. I don't know how many of you have seen that Joho initiative in a rural area. Bank of the Beyond in Tenkasi district. They have started a center of which is ultra modern, absolutely high tech. And who are working there? People, those are about 1,000, nearly 1,000, mostly of course girls, coming from their villages, coming in their traditional dress, working, going back home, living with the family. The father earned 5,000 rupees to 8,000 rupees a month as a laborer. The daughter gets over 1 lakh rupees as a salary. Now, so that is as far as earning. But this will not absorb the entire population. So, creating those industries in the rural areas for the products which are needed in the house. Like it is a mixie. Every house needs a mixie. Why can't mixie be made in the rural area? So they start thinking on those things. Those things. Refrigerator. Now every house needs a refrigerator. Why not build refrigerator in rural areas? Now this consciousness is there and the work is going on. I am confident that we will succeed in that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for really an excellent interactive session. You know, like I should really say that our Honorable Governor was interacting and giving a very nice speech with the farmers for almost 1 hour. With a break of 5 minutes, he could deliver so many things. You know, it's very attractive and very knowledgeable. Really, thank you so much, sir, for everything. And it's really motivating to our students. And we wish that we will have another session like this in the future days to come. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm sorry, I wish I would have spent more time with you, and be sure when I meet young people like you, I get energized, I benefit more than everyone else.